Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining our latest episode of the Hybrid Cloud Partners podcast. We're fresh off of attending Microsoft Ignite, and we had a lot of really excellent conversations with our hybrid cloud partners. We thought we would share kind of a summary of what we're hearing. We also had a data center optimization keynote presentation, and we're going to cover some of that content as well. So we've brought in our colleague, Fernando Peoples. He works on our team. He's got over 20 years of industry expertise working with hybrid partners. He's been on the data center optimization team for 5+ years. So thanks, Fernando, for joining. We really appreciate it. And let's get started.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. Thanks, Adam, for allowing me to join. This is my one. Looks like lately this year I've on twice this year. So last year I was on one. So I think I'm covered for 20. So if we want to get 2026 credits in, I'm covered. So
that's 100% improvement.
But no, thanks, guys. I mean, let's just jump right in. What are the key takeaways, you guys, from Ignite?
Hey, thanks, Fernando. Yeah, I would say obviously there were a ton of new announcements that Microsoft made, and a lot of relevant announcements to our hybrid cloud partners, around AI and Azure Arc, Azure Local. Before we kind of dive into that content, we want to kind of give a color commentary on some of the conversations that we've had, because really the theme and top of mind for a lot of hybrid cloud partners right now is what do they do with their current virtualization platform, given some of the major changes that are occurring on the from Broadcom. So, Adam, why don't you were in a ton of partner meetings while we were at Ignite, and I think there's some good anecdotes and themes that came out of that.
Yeah. For me, I think Ignite is really key for a couple reasons. One, ton of exciting announcements, great opportunities for our hybrid cloud partners with new capabilities and offerings that we're launching, especially around Copilot and kind of what we're doing with SMBs there. That was super exciting to see. But as much as it is about the sessions, I think the one-on-one connections are really key. I love how we really get a great pulse from partners through these discussions. And I'll say, what I took away from many conversations is I think it's never been a better time to be an Azure partner, and partners are really looking to Microsoft as they try and navigate a lot of these Broadcom changes that are happening in the market. And we certainly want to be there for our partners. There's a lot of work internally to try and make sure we can support these partners. It's a key priority from our partner organization, and really enjoyed kind of hearing about how we can continue to do new things and ultimately bring new value to customers based on sort of where the market is and where it's headed, and the opportunity in front of us. So yeah, the one-on-one conversations were incredibly exciting as well.
Awesome. Yeah, and I would say one of the big themes in those conversations is that partners are really looking for a roadmap for their future, right? Like, what do I do? Where do I go? They want to have a clear, view of how they should evolve and transform their business, both within the data center and into Azure. And so that was really a lot of the conversation, is like, what can I do now? Where can I lean in with Microsoft and have kind of peace of mind that they can lean in and partner with Microsoft, that much more, and have a clear path over the next couple of years. So I mentioned we had a keynote presentation, well attended at Ignite, a lot of hybrid cloud partners, and the theme was really around that roadmap. So we're going to kind of cover and talk about some of those themes and some of that content. So I think we start with what what we believe is the sea change for partners, and that is around licensing changes for Broadcom, for their VMware estate. So Adam, why don't you highlight some of those key changes and what it means for partners?
Yeah, I mean, I think essentially the key dates that we continue to hear from partners is that they see April 2027 as really a compelling date for them to understand kind of what their Broadcom licensing footprint looks like. And I think from a Microsoft standpoint, we want to try and support those partners with an adaptive cloud approach. We had a lot of great discussions on how we can help partners migrate those workloads into Azure. We'll call it Azure Native from that standpoint. We had a lot of conversations around Azure Local. I think Azure Local is seeing a ton of interest and demand from partners who, for one reason or another, need to continue to run workloads in the data center and want to supplement that with Azure Local in terms of how they can offer that and offer a lot of cloud capabilities and technologies that they get in Azure with kind of that same control plane in Azure Local. And then Azure Arc as well. And so, a ton of interest in how they can leverage Arc really across their estate as a way to modernize and get more capabilities as they're going through this kind of underlying hypervisor change. And so, from our standpoint, we want to be able to support partners however that journey may look to them. Obviously, we think there's huge value around Azure Native, and love helping partners with that. But want to be able to help support really kind of from an adaptive cloud approach wherever they deem they need to run those workloads.
I know there was a lot of partner conversations about our adaptive cloud strategy, which is something that has been had a great key driver of what we're planning on doing for the coming fiscal years here. But for those that are not familiar with the adaptive cloud strategy, can you share a little bit about that philosophy for those that are watching today?
Yeah, when we talk about adaptive cloud, what we're really saying is, first and foremost, we recognize that partners will operate on premise for years to come, and we completely respect that reality. At the same time, new deployments for modern solutions. The greatest value we believe is it comes from running in an Azure native environment. Where you can innovate and scale out, and the economics work in your favor. But at the same time, we also recognize the constraints you face. You have multi-year data center contracts. Your customers have data sovereignty requirements. There are latency considerations and customer obligations that can extend timelines for public cloud adoption. So again, when we talk about adaptive cloud, it's designed to deliver Azure services wherever you need them. You can deliver them on-prem, across multi-cloud, in Azure, giving you the flexibility to modernize at your pace. Work with your customers on their transformation journey. So the adaptive cloud really enables you to thrive in this environment, lead with differentiated services across a single control plane.
Yeah, I think you covered that well, Mike. I think as we look at that, that's where for partners from a technology standpoint, embracing Azure Arc to really extend the capabilities of Azure to their data center is, I think, how they're bringing, new value to their customers as they're navigating, kind of this underlying infrastructure change of what and where does that infrastructure run. So kind of having that single control plane with Azure Arc is key. And then partners especially, and I know we've touched on this before, but I'll mention it again because I think it's one of the best ways that partners can find value quickly with Arc is making that pivot from, SQL SPLA to Azure Arc-enabled SQL and taking advantage of the pay-go capabilities of SQL in Arc. That is a super compelling opportunity to drive incremental value and cost savings, and then really kind of scale out the Azure Arc deployment from there. So always encourage kind of partners to look at how starting with SQL can give rapid payback to be able to kind of justify the time and the investments to make those changes.
I know typically in the past, a lot of people, when they view modernization, they view like a particular app or anything right now. But what we're seeing now, modernization across the board has become a key topic. Just like partners are reducing their dependency on Broadcom, we want to help them reduce their dependency on SPLA also and find ways to offer them more value.
Yeah. So really what we're talking about is transforming, moving from SPLA to CSP, which unlocks a completely different growth trajectory for our partners. So, SPLA it's very limited, right? It's a licensing channel. It provides access to on-prem versions of software. So when you transform to CSP, that gives you access to the full Microsoft cloud. You can expand your offerings, help customers modernize and stay relevant. And the great news, CSP has a lot of flexibility to it from a pricing standpoint, different SKUs, 1-year SKUs, 3-year SKUs, depending on your customer's needs, a richer incentive model, access to additional Microsoft investments to accelerate transformation and migration. You can also tap into our Hero channel for co-sell engagement. That creates new revenue streams and pipeline opportunities. And one of the marquee capabilities within CSP is Cloud Ascent. If you're not leveraging Cloud Ascent, I highly, highly encourage you to first look into it and start leveraging it. Literally, you gain actionable insights on what solutions your SMB customers are ready for today. You can use it to cross-sell, upsell, help build awareness for nurturing certain customers, increase your ARPU, win new logos. It's fantastic. And what we see is when customers leverage that, especially the customers that are ready to buy, they see a dramatic increase in new customers and cross-sell additional services to their customers.
Yeah, the Cloud Ascent, I feel like is, to your point, Mike, super compelling. Like I always love talking about that with customers because I feel like they have a rapid time to value when they start to incorporate the data there and sharing it with their sales teams. Like especially, taking advantage of customers that are at the act now stage. And leveraging those. What we often find is they're uncovering either new parts of the business or, new opportunities that their sales team just may not have been fully aware of or necessarily pursuing, and kind of leveraging that data. I think really helps show the benefit of tying into the CSP channel to kind of gain access to these Cloud Ascent insights. Like that, you really have to have that CSP connection to essentially unlock the Cloud Ascent insights into your existing customers. And then that is what we hear from partners is often how they find when they make these pivots to Azure, their average customer spend grows because they're essentially now able to win new workloads is modernizing existing. So anyway, I didn't mean to cut you off there, Mike. I just wanted to jump in to share those details.
Point is, Cloud Ascent is a great strategic tool in the CSP arsenal.
Yeah, and I would look in this season of giving, Cloud Ascent is the gift that keeps on giving to partners as they continue to, advance and modernize their customer base.
Definitely.
Yeah, so really at the core of this is partners modernizing from SPLA to CSP. And one area that our team focuses on is helping partners navigate the various modernization paths from SPLA. So, we recognize it's different for every partner. But this visual, for those of you watching video, and if you're on audio, you can download our presentation. If you're a SPLA partner and you're trying to figure out what is your path to modernize, this is really a great guidepost.
Yeah. I think it's definitely something that, takes a little bit of time to digest. Yeah, licensing can be complex, but essentially I think what we're trying to show is that roadmap of how do you move from SKU-based software offers to more modern cloud-enabled services. And that's essentially a lot of what our team does, and always enjoy kind of helping partners drive that kind of modernization approach and give their customers new value as part of that type of pivot.
When you look at this year, we've seen a lot of changes in the SPLA ecosystem and in the CSP system for hosting partners. So as of December 2025, when partners move to Azure, what are all the ways Microsoft looks to help those hosting partners?
Yeah, I think it's exciting to be in this position to help partners in many, many different ways, depending on kind of where partners find themselves, the scale, the challenge they need. I'll touch on a handful of those. One, we have huge investments in our Azure Accelerate program. And so for all partners, one of the things they can be aware of is how they can leverage our Cloud Acceleration Factory to be able to help offset the work that is needed to move customers into Azure. So this is how you get, Microsoft-funded resources to essentially put fingers on keyboards and help, with the actual migration into Azure. This is another slide where I think, kind of picture is worth 1,000 words. And so I think it helps to show what the Cloud Accelerate Factory does, and then what a partner is responsible for in terms of partners focused on the architecture design and what is that, to-be environment ultimately going to look like. They can help with a lot of the planning and resourcing. And then, the Cloud Accelerate Factory can help build out the landing zones. They can launch Azure Migrate and help with kind of the initial assessments. They can run that migration. They can support the validation piece. And then really the partner kind of comes and puts a wrapper around that, finishing up with, the post-migration services, the cloud enablement, somewhere in the networking components, all of the things that go into a migration. So for partners that have these migrations, one of the things we often hear is, how does it work? Who funds it? And this is a great way to reduce the cost to your customer or internally of what a migration is going to entail. In addition, for partners that qualify and have the requisite specializations, we also have Cloud Accelerate pre- and post-sale investments that you can look into. You can tap directly into those in Partner Center and nominate for your customers. So if you have these SMB customers that you're looking to move, you can really drive this with the right specializations in Partner Center to get incremental funding. And you can combine that with the Cloud Accelerate Factory as well. And then from our team, we help across the board when it comes to, data center optimization. And so we look to kind of help first on the customer acquisition piece, understanding kind of what the modernization should look like as it relates to SPLA. How do we leverage Cloud Ascent data? How do we leverage really kind of a long-term roadmap we call 3 Horizons to help build, both a near and a longer-term strategy for how do partners transform? We help with the initial kind of quoting and understanding what this infrastructure is going to cost in Azure, if Azure Native is the direction. And then how do we, have pay-for-performance incentives that can essentially offset the cost of this transformation and migration. So, collectively, I don't think I can think of a time where we've ever had more investment in this space to help partners, and certainly want to help support them as they continue to drive this type of modernization. And especially if they're telling us, hey, we need to reduce our dependency on our hypervisor, like we want to be here to help our partners with that.
Based on what we've seen in the current market, technically all these hosting partners, they're not created equal. You have some hosting partners who have a hybrid cloud approach where they're some on-prem customers, and then they have some cloud customers in Azure. Then you have some though who just have their on-prem. They don't really have a huge public cloud business. So when you look at that perspective on all these different hosting partners, yes, we do pull them in as a hosting partner, but how would approach those that are looking to modernize?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. And we get that question all the time. And that's why our team created this 3 Horizons partner transformation roadmap. It's born out of a hybrid cloud partner centric strategy, really. So the 3 Horizons are really around, what can a partner do right now to strengthen their data center offerings? How can they add more hybrid solutions to that?
Yeah, Mike, I think the customer zero part is really key. Like the partners that we see really that are benefiting the most from the market opportunities with AI that are really driving true transformation with customers have become customer zero themselves, where they are integrating and adapting Copilot and agentic capabilities into how they work today to essentially make sure that they can tell stories and demonstrate the value to customers across their organization, as well as sharing learnings internally and really kind of having that growth mindset and continuously learning internally of how do they leverage the latest innovation to really drive the most customer value. I think, I'm really glad you mentioned customer zero because I think that's what, we want to encourage all our partners to really become.
Yeah. And, the Three Horizons strategy, first of all, I want to call out that we did an entire podcast on this, and we'll put the link in, into the notes you'll see there. But excuse me, we highly encourage you to listen to that because it has a richer, set of content around that. But the other aspect of the Three Horizons is partners have been asking us, for a roadmap for both transformation, but also how do they better align to Microsoft's roadmap and Microsoft's AI roadmap in particular. So we built this out. Horizon 2 is really how can you start elevating your offerings with AI and take advantage of all the new offerings, new capabilities, new revenue streams that you can unlock with that, which then positions you for what we call driving transformational growth, right? That's really Horizon 3. That is, as you continue to dive deeper into your AI journey and your partnership with Microsoft, you can really drive more, accelerated growth, for your customers and really become that AI trusted advisor for the future.
Cool. Thanks, Mike. I do really like the Three Horizons approach. I mean, that is something that every hybrid cloud provider should go back and watch that podcast to discover that and tap into it more. But as we go forward, if you're watching this podcast, you're probably listening like, man, this is a lot of great information. And how do partners get started? Well, we hope today's discussion resonated, and there's more we can do to further your transformation. There are several easy ways to stay connected with us. First, scan the QR code that's on the screen right now to access the full slide deck and our Three Horizons content. That same link is your gateway to set up a one-on-one conversation, basically. Beyond that, we've created some resources to stay connected. Right now, number one thing is the Hybrid Cloud Partners podcast. You're watching it right now. And as you see, like today, we share real transformation stories and growth opportunities for hosters just like you. The other way is the Hybrid Cloud Provider newsletter, delivering timely updates and insights. The last thing, getting started with Azure Arc for Hosters Guide, so you can accelerate your hybrid cloud adoption and confidence. Right now, you're watching the probably best podcast that's out there for your hybrid cloud growth and strategy. Continue to tune in and watch Adam and Mike just explore new opportunities out there.
Yeah, and I just wanted to call out one last thing. So as part of that call to action and the links, we have our presentation from Ignite there. So it has more of the slides that we've shown today, but highly encourage you to look through that, download it. And again, we really appreciate the opportunity to bring content to you and have excellent conversations with the partner community. So Fernando, awesome job. Thank you so much for stepping in as host today, and really appreciate your point of view on this.
Thank you. Appreciate
Thanks
it.
so much,
And
Fernando.
thank you, Adam.
Always good to see you.
Yeah.
Yeah, good to see you too, Mike. Thanks, guys.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Stay tuned for more insights and stories from Microsoft's data center optimization team. Be sure to stay connected at dco.microsoft.com or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.